Well, hello everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. Got my boy sitting up here in my lap. He came up right before I was getting ready to come on, and he's been kneading my stomach and chest area. So he's needing a little bit of attention right now. We have the door opened. I have actually the door open to the RV right now, and Medina is actually in Chicago right now with my daughter. They went down for an overnight stay, and my boy's leaving. They went down for an overnight stay and in Chicago to have some mother daughter time together, away from me and everybody, to eat some Korean food and just have a good time tonight in Chicago. And tomorrow also took the train down, so they didn't even have to drive. So I hope everybody's doing good. I read in going over for this tonight's broadcast, I ran into some stuff on the Barry Morphew case that I wanted to bring up and let y'all tell me about this, because I had never heard about this until I read it today, which is not saying much, but that it was. But let's go over real quickly some other people that are missing, and some information, and let me move some stuff down here. I don't know what I've got out here. Okay. We still are looking for this group off the ocean bound sailboat off the Mexican coast. That they're highly trained, experienced sailors. The guy in the gray hair has got 60 years experience. The couple both are Coast Guard captains. So I mean, they very well be, but we don't know yet what what is the where they're at, or even no parts of the boat have even come up as being found. This, we want to say, she was found alive. She turned herself in to a convenience store and said that she had been kidnapped, and they tried to burn her alive. A lot of words like alleged is coming out in the news, so I don't know about this. I'm not gonna say yay or nay yet to find out what really happened to her. Um, we don't know yet. Uh, let me see. That was not what I wanted right there. Hold on, guys. Give me just a minute. I've got some stuff that I wanted to share with you. Um, yeah, this girl, they asked for her help finding her. They came out today missing. A detective asked for public help on Robinson. Roberta Robinson. This is the only picture I could find where they had for her. She is also missing. Also, um, let's just get into what now. I don't have any way of seeing the chat once I go into what I'm doing. So I'm gonna be switching back and forth. I mean, it won't you won't see any difference, but it might take me a couple of minutes to go over this. Um, yeah, this as you know, uh, Barry Morphew has come out and he is suing the uh, the county and the FBI and CBI for violation of his civil rights. And what I've said all along is this is probably a good thing, because uh, this is probably a good thing because he's going to have to give a deposition. If they're going to have to he's going to a part of this case is he's going to have to um, go in and provide interrogatories. And what interrogatories are is basically they send a bunch of questions. It might be 500 questions about the case, and they'll send them to him and his attorney. His attorney probably will answer most of them. He's supposed to answer them, but the attorney will be right there with him, coaching him on what to say and all that kind of good stuff. And they'll be sending them back. But the thing where he'll be under the most pressure and scrutiny and under oath is a key, is in the depositions. He'll have to be sit for depositions, and what they will do is they will have his lawyer will be in there, and the state will be in there, and they can ask him anything about the case because that's what he's suing in reference to. They'll ask him a bunch of questions that they always wanted to ask him about the case. And so what they'll do is if he refuses to answer those questions, then they can call the judge right then and ask the judge to either force him to answer the questions or to take the fifth. And if he takes the fifth and answering those questions, it's not going to look good because what I expect to happen is this. I expect that they may file this lawsuit, and I'm hoping and praying that the county and the FBI and CBI don't settle this thing, because what I see happening is before the lawsuit even goes to court, they charge him again. Maybe they have other evidence and they can pull those depositions out and refer back to them. They may, if he takes the stand, or if they can use his own words against him, because he'll be under oath. And if he were to take the stand and he says something different than what he said under oath in a deposition, that could cost him. That could cost him a lot. I don't think, he may try to dodge questions like you say, but if he is sworn in under oath, there won't be no dodging any questions. A lot of that stuff he'll be forced to answer them, basically. Sure, he could say, I don't recall, but he's not going to get to do I don't recall very much if he's under oath for sitting for a deposition, especially. I mean, I've taken depositions before, I've taken interrogatories before, and they can be a lot of pressure on you. One thing they can do is, you know, if the judge sees fit to grant somebody immunity, say we have a witness or something, and he grants that person immunity, then there is no way that he can keep from testifying and telling the truth. Now, they're not going to grant Morphew immunity, but they could grant somebody else. I feel like there may be more people involved in this than what we think to start with. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna play this little tape I did get, and I had to cut it down because it was way too long.
Law enforcement, the DAs, believed that they had their guy, and they believe that there's a mountain of evidence against you. There's just not Suzanne's body.
They're wrong. They've got tunnel vision, and they looked at one person, and they've got too much pride to say they're wrong and look somewhere else.
These charges were dropped without prejudice, which means if authorities feel like there's more evidence, they could charge you again. Do you live with fear of that?
Well, I was innocent the first time they arrested me, so I'm sure it's possible.
But Barry and his daughters deny the marriage was in trouble.
We had a wonderful life, wonderful marriage. She was just so loving and giving and such a good mother.
When you found out that Suzanne was having an affair, what was your first thought?
My heart was broke. My heart was broken. I didn't believe it.
What's been the hardest part?
Just not having Mom.
Yeah. Not knowing.
It's really difficult, especially because of the lack of closure we have.
You know, I watched it, and that's been cut up. I had to cut that up because I couldn't put the whole thing on there. It wouldn't fit on this particular the StreamYard. But what I noticed about that whole interview, he never mentions her name by name. Not one time he mentioned her by name that I saw. Two, he had a good marriage. Well, if all of that stuff about how her friends said and all this stuff about how the marriage was hurting and him talking in the background and being hateful to her, he's just, and the girls too. The girls never said up until the very last of this, you know, anything about Suzanne. Here's what I've always said. If if that would have been me on that camera, from the minute they turned that camera on, I don't care if they charged me anything. I would have been saying, "Can y'all please go find my wife? Can we try to find Suzanne? Can we please try to work and do this? Let me help you. Let me help you try to find her." Try to. He never says anything about her. Never. I mean, you know, fake tears. I didn't see no tears. He got his face all wrinkled up, but I didn't see no tears. He's he's suing him $15 million. Now, what all that is he's wanting a settlement. He knows there's no way they're going to be a $15 million judgment for him for this. No possible way. He's hoping they'll settle for $2 or $3 million and he'll be set again. Please, please, don't, I hope they do not settle, because if they can just get them put a get a have the state and federal government get their lawyers and get the girls in there for a deposition each. He won't be, I don't think he'll be allowed in there when they're doing their deposition. I don't think he will. He might be, I'm not sure. But the girls' depositions on them, get them under oath, saying that they didn't see any, marriage problems. But, supposedly, Suzanne talked to one of Mallory, I think, and told her about the hard problems she was having. And Mallory, I think it was Mallory, it might have been the other one, had said, "Why don't you just divorce him?" You know, there was all types of stuff on the phone. He knew about the affair. You can't tell me that all of this is just hogwash, basically, that he's putting it out there. And really, I don't know what lawyer would tell him you need to sue them, because a lawyer's going to tell him, "Hey, you're going to have to give all kinds of stuff in a deposition about this." You know, um, says here in about these deposition, the standard of what can be asked is quite broad. The lawyers can inquire about anything which might be relevant to claims of defense at issue in the case. So they can ask anything. You will be under oath. He will be under oath. Just would uh, just as you would be in court, the lawyer's questions and your answers will be taken down by the court reporter. And so he will be asked. He can be asked anything. Did you kill your wife? Did you shoot her with a dart gun? Where was the dart gun? They can go into everything. It's gonna. I don't see how a lawyer could recommend this. I really don't. Not this soon. I don't think there's a statute of limitations. It might be. That may be why they're doing them like this. Um, I ran across this article about it, and basically it says Morphew is receiving end of a civil uh, lawsuit that is filed today after filing a $15 million complaint against the police and prosecution allegedly wrongful arrests or on murder charges and disappearance of his wife Suzanne. In the latest legal twist, Morphew 56 is a defendant in a complaint which alleges he defrauded an Indiana couple over an acre strip of land in Indiana, which is described as the plaintiffs as being sandwiched between two properties. The dispute began at least a year ago before Miss Morphew went missing, but the complaint was filed May 8th by Jeffrey and Cheryl Titus, who live in, I guess it's Clarence, Indiana, said the complaint that Morphew lied about why he wanted to slice an acre which adjoined by two properties. Defendant made representation to the plaintiffs that they needed the 1 acre to be able to sell their adjoining parcel. Said in the statement was false and known to the defendant to be false. He can't tell the truth. The plaintiff reasonably replied the statement. The lawsuit stated that Titus said Morphew promised he would redeed the land and then never gave it to them. The Titus said Morphew also trespassed on their adjoining property and killed the grass and trees planted on it. And I don't know all of this of what it was, but he is involved in so much BS, even surrounding different court cases and everything. It goes on to say, because I copied this whole thing because it was kind of weird. The couple is asking for damages, and including treble damages and attorney fees, and did not specify an amount. The evidence is proof to their claim. The Tituses showed text messages which were written May 8th, 2019, a year before Morphew had moved from Indiana to Colorado. The couple grew up in Indiana and relocated to the mountain home near Poncha Springs, where they said at the time for a fresh start. Now, it may be because they've gotten all kinds of stuff. In May 16, 2019, Barry Morphew wrote Jeff Titus, "Hey, buddy, do you still want that acre back? Let me know," according to the lawsuit. 19 minutes later, Morphew added, "I appreciate you selling it to me to be able to sell it to Jordan. Turns out I didn't need it for the sale, like for you to have it back, but don't want you to lose much. Just let me know." The next day, Titus answered Morphew, "Hey, Barry, Jordan and I," it says SIC, "talking about the acre the other day, and he and I are under the impression once you got the trees off that you were going to deed it back to me since sick." I don't know what's that, SIC. It stands for something. He paid $15,000 per acre for 10 acres since 10 acres were needed for him to get building permit. And it goes into this. Apparently, Barry made promises that, and now he's being sued. Even though he is suing also. Let me get back. I wanted this last little page of this. When it says, said there's really no value to the acres sandwiched between the two properties. That's what I think Barry is saying. Said, basically, he said earlier this month, Morphew filed the $15 million federal civil rights lawsuit, which states that he was wrongfully arrested, jailed, prosecuted for alleged murder of his wife, Suzanne, nearly 2 years ago for a crime he did not commit. I'm going to tell you something. I don't even know that a federal judge is going to let that stand, because these people have gotten out on DNA, and they rarely get paid for it. Even though they really deserve it. Um, it says here basically Numerous investigators of Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, some of whom no longer even work for the organizations. And I understand there were some accusations going around there, and that some of the stuff that I never would even believed it. This is a copy actually of the first page of his uh, the lawsuit filed here. Um, the combined counts, people of the state of Colorado versus Barry Morphew. Um, let's see. Go back into this. But, I think personally, if I was his lawyer, I would tell them not to do this, because they're gonna find out that a lot of stuff can be brought out and asked of Barry, and even referred to what Barry says, referred to in his daughter's depositions. They can go back and forth there. I just believe that it's going to allow the state to find out more, about what's going on, um, than what he ever said, ever put out there. I mean, to me, it's opened up. Now, here's what I was reading. Tell me if you've heard this. This is a picture about it. 3 miles away, it was it's an article about the Garfield Mine in Colorado. This is a place where there's some information that says here that it was talked about, that possibility of the area was where they believe the remains of Susan Morphew can be hidden. The remote Garfield mine, where police believe the remains of Susan Morphew could be hidden. Chaffee County police say they have pinpointed a location in the area close to her former home in Maysville, Colorado, and are waiting for snowpack to melt before exhuming the body. Now, this was in April of 2022, April the 19th. I've never heard this before. Have any of y'all heard this? I mean, I've never heard that the mine could be, and I'm gonna leave this up here just for a minute. I've never heard that. I heard that they had thought about, they talked about a snowpack, but that was last year, I think. They were talking about a snowpack had to be wait for the snowpack, but I've never heard that supposedly that they were gonna exhume her body from a mine. Have y'all ever heard of this? Because I mean, this is something. I mean, it came out. It was on some of the stuff that was coming out. I'd never heard that. And now, I mean, they're putting this. I mean, you look at this paragraph here. It's April. The remote Garfield mine is where the police believe the remains of Suzanne Morphew could be hidden. The police say they have pinpointed a location. Now, I mean, if the police are saying they have pinpointed a location, then they ought to have everybody and their brother up there looking for him as soon as the snow had melted. Uh, where her it's near her home, waiting for the snowpack to melt before exhuming the body. I mean, that talks like they know where the body's at. I mean, I would not have made that comment. I mean, unless I knew where the body was at. I mean, I don't know. Um, I was hoping AK was here tonight. Maybe he knows or I've heard about that. Um, that to me says a lot. But now I read some talk about this area, And somebody had made in Reddit, actually, I went down and was reading Reddit about this. He made the comment that this area would be very hard to get to, even with the bobcat, and that there's there's houses in that area that somebody might be seen if they made a way to get up there around this mine to do that. But you think about it, you probably could go up there on a four-wheeler. I would think a four-wheel drive four-wheeler would be easier to do than a bobcat. Go up to a mine, and if it's any like these other mines are just shafts down into the ground, who knows if somebody could be um, tossed into a shaft and then force a little avalanche on top of it, because apparently these are all abandoned mines. But why have they said that particular mine and say they waiting to exhume the body? I don't know, guys. That to me, that that to me is saying a lot. I don't. I'm gonna go back and try to really find out where this initially came from. Who has made this statement? Did it come from the police? Did have the police? I mean, have any of y'all heard the police say this in any statement out there anywhere? I have not, and that's why I want to hoping AK will come in tonight so I can ask him that. I know um, he is probably the foremost expert on this Morphew case. He never says anything that's halfway. He knows what's going on, and that's why I wanted to. Uh, you know, it is. I mean, they've really Maui. Uh, you know, uh, Maui. I agree with you. I've never heard that specifically say. I mean, you got a statement saying the police said this and they were going to exhume the body. That's as good of a statement that they found her that I've ever heard. I just, you know, I don't know. I don't know, you know, I don't know if, why they're saying that, if they really don't, if it's just a hypothesis that they've got that um, Martin Smallwood, did you say something? You were saying something up here. I was trying to get back to you. Um, yeah, but even at April, I mean, they're waiting for the snow to melt. This snow to melt. I don't, you know, the thing is, I don't know. I believe that no, I think this statement, if it was made by the police, that um, the sheriffs, the Chaffee County police say they have pinpointed a location in the area close to her home and they're waiting for the snowpack to melt. Yes, April 2022. Then, you know, why didn't they go there? Why didn't we hear about it in the news that in the summer of 22 they didn't dig up that whole area, send a mine team down there to go through that mine? That's what I want to know. If I was Suzanne's family and that was the case, you know, I would put, even if I had to pay for it myself, I would have a mine go down there, get with 60 minutes, get with 48 hours, see if they want to help finance it, and see if they can locate her body. You know, they people these news crews will do that, especially if you can offer them a you know, I don't know if they can offer them something, to help find her. Uh, I know there's been some comments back and forth with Martin Smallwood on here. What is he saying? Because I can't, like I said, I can't go back and see a lot of this stuff. Um, does he think Barry is basically innocent? If that's the case, I'd like to talk. Uh, Spoke to Macy. Admitted their parents argued a lot. Well, not doing well. Okay, I see what you're saying. Um, yeah, I imagine that a lawyer probably did encourage. I can't see, put it this way, I cannot see a lawyer encouraging this lawsuit. I went to law school for a year and a half and thought I wanted to be a lawyer, but I went back into police work. It wasn't for me. I had a lawyer, I had an instructor tell me it's not about justice, that it's about getting your client off at all costs. And I couldn't deal with that. And that was one reason why I left I left law school and went back to law enforcement. But I just can't imagine a lawyer not going over the facts that one telling Barry, you're going to have to sit for a deposition, or you're going to have interrogatories. That's, they can help them with interrogatories to answer questions, and the lawyer can actually be there, and the lawyer will be there in depositions too. But the questions are coming live. He doesn't have a chance to go back and look at the law books and figure out how they can strategically answer the questions, like in a interrogatory. The A deposition, you're going to have to answer the questions. Of course, there'll be something that is going to be, but he's got two pretty smart female lawyers. I mean, I listen to them. They seem to be on top of the game. So, but first thing I would do, I would subpoena. Uh, I would send interrogatories to Barry, and then I would send. Also, I would get him for a deposition, and I would ask them every question about that case that I wanted to know that we didn't know now. I would ask him everything that possibly, what did you put in the trash cans when you went towards the place you for work that morning when you left? How come your truck pinged back over this way and back down this way? And what did you put in those trash cans? I would get him tied down to certain things, you know um, when he says, "Oh, I just threw some trash out of my truck." Well, how come you went to three different trash cans or whatever he did to throw stuff out of your truck? What exactly did you put in there? I would tie him down to those things. Was anybody with you in the truck that morning? You know what I'm saying? I would tie him down to on these questions, because he'll be under oath, and I would want to ask him the most questions about what happened between the time that Suzanne hung up the phone that night and the time that he had the woman call the girl about somebody needs to go down there and check on Suzanne. So I would have him tie him down on those events in that time frame. Tie him down as much as possible, because when he's under oath, like he'll be under oath, and you tie him down when he if he does make the if he does make the mistake of testifying in court, which is highly possible, because you know yourself, everybody says it's the last thing you want to do is let your client testify his innocence in court. But a jury takes all that stuff into consideration. I don't care what the judge will say. He'll say, listen, don't infer his guilt by the fact that he doesn't want to testify. That's his right. But you know yourself, you're a juror in that room. You know it's going to make a little difference. If he's not guilty, why don't he just get on the stand and say so? So if he does get on the stand at all, then that deposition, when he does makes all these statements like that, it's going to be a way to, they can have it in their hand. I asked him a question. If he doesn't say exactly like he did on the deposition, they'll say, well, do you lie? And he'll say, no, of course not. Well, which one are you telling the truth when you said this or what you're saying now? Which one was the truth? It's a way I've seen it done. It's just unbelievable. Um, and I think getting him before lawyers on a deposition is critical. And I was really hoping that something like this would happen. I didn't think Barry had the guts to go and get a lawyer and sue the police. I didn't think that would happen. I had no idea that would happen. I was thinking that maybe Suzanne's brother and her family were going to sue Barry for wrongful death, just like they sued OJ. The OJ was found not guilty, and then they sued OJ, and he was found guilty for wrongful death. So I thought that was going to happen. I thought Barry was going to be deposition was going to be taken that way. I had no idea that he was going to sue somebody himself, which is I never would have believed it, because I don't know. I've talked to other lawyers about this, and they all say that right now is a bad idea. First off, I'm not sure if he can. I mean, I don't know he's got to prove. Let's just say that he gets by with all this stuff, these depositions and all that, and comes out pretty good on them. I don't know. He's got to prove that the county and the DA and the FBI and the CBI basically lied to put him in jail. He's got to prove that they had no evidence at all to charge him. They got to, so all of this stuff is going to be brought out. And the only bad thing is his lawyers are going to know, everything, basically, pretty much. But, in a criminal trial under discovery, you got to give the defense everything you got. You got to give them all the evidence you got before the trial. That is the way it's tried, and you can't hold something back and then surprise them in trial. You got to. That's why, say you got a key witness, you'll give them you'll give them 50 names of possible witnesses you're going to call, and put 3 or 4 of your ones you're going to call in the middle of that, because they're going to go and try to find everything they can about your witnesses. They're going to find out if they had anything. AK, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. I wanted to ask you. I brought up something, and let me show you, and tell me if you've ever heard of this. Okay, the remote Garfield Mine. I'd never heard of this. This is the first I've noticed about it, reading it today, that Chaffee County Police say they have pinpointed a location in the area to her former home in Maysville, Colorado, They're waiting for the snowpack to melt before exhuming the body. Now, I heard they had a point that they wanted to look through the snow, thought they may had a area, but have you ever heard that supposedly they had pinpointed an area and that it was the Garfield Mine? I had never heard that before, and I knew, oh, it has been searched. Did I mean I this is the first time I even heard of the mine itself. What I was thinking is he could have made it to that area, dropped the body in the bottom of it, and then caved in, forced a cave in on top of it. They would. Who searched it? Do you know? Uh, okay, it is in the evidence discovery log. Okay. Do you know who searched it? If the police actually, I mean, it's a pretty, okay, it's a pretty strong statement that it says they're gonna exhume the body. That statement, to say it like that, pretty strong statement to say they have pinpointed an area. So I'm wondering how they got that. How did they? I mean, I mean, that is to me that is a heck of a strong statement to say. You know, and wow, I wonder how I wonder how they initially came up with that too, you know? How did they initially get the information that um something had been pinpointed? Uh well, if you want to tell us, put it in there, or either maybe next time come on live. I've only album right now I've got about 15 minutes on this one, and then I've got to go over to their other one with Anthony, with Tony, uh, and I don't have a choice in doing that. We're set up to do it. Um, Maybe next week we'll go into it, or I'll get you to come on with me, and you can explain it. Um, I've never seen law enforcement come out and just say, we're going to exhume the body. That's pretty strong, unless they have some very, very, very strong evidence that she was there. Suzanne found last ping 3 miles west of Puma Pass at 4:23 a.m. when Barry said that she was snoring in bed. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm Martin. I'm 100% with you and AK. I believe 100% that Barry did this. I wish we had the body, but like I do, that a body is not 100% necessary to charge someone. And I get why. Uh, I get why that maybe the DA wants the body, maybe to seal off any evidence. But the, the biggest problem I see with the DA's case is you got somebody like that CBI officer or whatever that, uh, was no longer with CBI or got transferred to another area. That might be a problem for their case. I don't know. I don't know why. Um, I didn't see anything come out in the preliminary hearing when I listened to it that would give the judge you know, would feel like they had enough to try the case, and that's why I don't know. I don't know. They need the body, I'm sure, but they don't have to have it. Yeah, I would think her phone now is probably at the bottom of one of those cold water lakes or something. problem is, it could be anywhere. Um, no, you're right, Chybug. But like when I read that, I understand. They are going to have to pinpoint the body. Yeah, I understand that. But when they say they're waiting till the snow melts to exhume the body, I mean, to me, that is, um, I don't know. That's pretty strong. You know. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I would have loved to have seen the report on that when the feds went up there and dug out, examined that mine, searched it, took the water out of it, did whatever. That would have been good. I just don't, you know, by them saying they pinpointed the area. I mean, it's kind of narrowing it down. If you're saying they're in the area around a cell tower, that's somewhere else. I've got a friend that works for FBI currently that his job basically has to do with cell towers and cell phones and all that. You know, I'm wondering if they did a. I'm wondering if they did a. What's it called? You have footage of that mine? Wow, that'd be awesome to see. Um, what's it called? I know I got it in my mind, but I can't think of it. Um, when they circle off an area of cell phone in that certain area, what's it called? And they can tell you of every cell phone in that area. Um, my mind's gone. Um, I'm thinking of that. No, it's not a ping. It's not even a triangle thing. It's where they like a cage. Actually, they go out to a certain area and they want to know everybody that in a cell point within a 300 foot radius. They can do it. A yeah, geocache. That's right. If they have a geo catch where they can actually, or geo fencing is what I'm trying to think of. What they say is, I need everybody's phone within a half mile, a round circle in this area. I mean, they could put it around that mine up there and say 300 feet around that mine, half mile around that mine, geofencing around it, and tell me anybody's phone inside there at this certain time. They can do it. In fact, I don't know if any of y'all saw the movie 2000 Mules. Okay. I'm not speaking politics. It's just a movie. If you watch it, they did a geo fencing of an area. What they were doing is trying to find how many people dropped off ballots to a certain area. Well, they did it, and the McDonald's happened to be in this area where they had a shooting, and they turned in their geofencing stuff for some cell phones that were seen around that shooting, and that's how the police found two people that were involved in a murder through geofencing that day. Now I know that law enforcement can do it, but they may have to have a lot of search warrants and all this other stuff. I know that private entities can do it, and they don't have to have those. They're not as much. Yeah, the info can be through tower dumps the same way. Geofencing is a little bit more precise, though. Say I had and they have used it recently on missing person cases, though. This happened the other like 2 months ago where they had a person was last called their home from their phone, was it pinged at a certain area. Well, they put a geofencing map on top of that area. I think it was like 300 feet in every direction, and they found evidence of a couple of other cell phones, which in 10, they were able to narrow it down to somebody that did this person harm. So, it would be good if they do that. I just don't know what I don't know if they've done that. They may have done that. I don't know. Well, listen, it is 10 minutes, 9 minutes to me and Tony go on. And I hate to end this like this, but AK, I would love, man, to get on with this on some night with you, and you enlighten me about some of the stuff that you have like that, especially that mine. Um, but if they've searched it and they've done their due diligence up there, you know, that man would just be a blue herring, for to kind of throw uh, law enforcement off. But they are considering this now a cold case. They are. And that's sad, because when it is a cold case, they're basically referring, unless they get some new information, it's on the back burner. But anyway, AK, man, thanks again for doing all the hard work you're doing on this case. If y'all are not subscribers um, to AK, and go over and listen to some of the stuff he's done with Suzanne Morphew, as she speaks in her own words. Um, and when you were at the memorial the other night, the remembrance, go do it, because it's just about as good as it gets. And that's what I'm going to say about it. Just about as good as it gets. But anyway, I'm going to go now, and we'll do something in the future. I can promise you, if it's up to me, uh, I would love to. But because you've enlightened me on a lot of stuff tonight, I really have. I just didn't know that. It's the first time I'd ever heard about it. So it's just something. Okay, guys. If y'all want to come listen to me and Tony tonight, it's not a subject I'm big time thrilled about, because I have my own opinions and he has his. So we'll talk about it, and the new artificial intelligence. So we'll see y'all in just a few minutes, and thank y'all. See you later.